and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1750B, and today's date is December 26th, 2018, and the title of the episode is, The First Alarm is About to Ring, the Clock is Ticking Down. Let's get into the economic collapse, political, and geopolitical news. Now, as we can see, the government is still shut down. Trump, the Patriots, they're still pushing the wall. And Trump is saying, listen, I'm not going to sign anything unless this is included. We see Schumer, and the rest of the deep state, they are holding out right now. Now, what's very interesting, they're talking about, how expensive this is going to be, and why don't we use the money for roads or something else? Why do we need it for border security? It's a waste of money. But what's very interesting about all of this, and they're talking about all this money that's being wasted on a wall, let's talk about all the money that's wasted on everything else. How come no one is out there screaming and yelling about all the things that the government wastes money on? Senator Rand Paul released the annual Festivus Report, and it reveals that about $115 million in American taxpayer money funded a slew of government projects, including $200,000 to put on plays in Afghanistan. Think about this for a second. So here's some of the things that Senator Rand Paul pointed out. $76 million to provide stipends to Somalia National Army. $18 million to promote tourism in Egypt. $2.4 million to study daydreaming. $1 million to support legislative priorities in Libya. $875,000 to study the sexual habits of quails on cocaine. $635,000 to develop a Pashto language TV drama series for Afghanistan. $400,000 to support asset seizure programs in Paraguay. American taxpayers have paid nearly $30 million since 2014 to fund reintegration gift bags for illegal aliens. I mean, think about this. Think about how much is paid out for criminal illegal aliens in prison. It's about $1.4 billion a year. Think about how much money was spent out in the Middle East and all these fake wars that the deep state created, the central banks created. Trillions upon trillions of dollars. But that's not a waste of money. To secure the borders, to stop drug trafficking coming into this country, to stop human trafficking, to stop illegals coming into this country, to save the country money, that's just too expensive. But the $1 trillion that we're spending out in Afghanistan, out in Syria, to wage war on innocent people, that's okay. And especially when we look at all these other programs, that's okay too. So Trump was in the White House this Christmas period of time, and he tweeted out the following. I'm in the Oval Office and just gave out a 115-mile-long contract for another large section of the wall in Texas. We are already building and renovating many miles of the wall, some complete. Democrats must end shutdown and finish funding. Billions of dollars and lives will be saved. He continued with, I'm all alone, poor me in the White House, waiting for the Democrats to come back and make a deal on a desperately needed border security. At some point, the Democrats not wanting to make a deal will cost our country more money than the border wall we are all talking about. Crazy. And remember, Trump realizes, and the Patriots realize, this has been planned out for a very long time. They know that if the Democrats and the Republicans that are in the Senate right now, if they do not vote on anything, which they haven't, and they hold out, we know that on January 3rd, a new Senate is brought in. And Trump and Q has been telling us that the Senate was the target. And this is why I believe Trump is really not that worried. And even if the Senate at that time doesn't vote, he's going to say this is a national security issue. The military will build the wall. He already has the funds. It's already there. There's plan and backup plan to make sure this wall is built no matter what. Out in South Korea, we see North and South Korea, they broke ground on an ambitious project to modernize North Korean railways and roads and connect them with the South. So peace is continuing in the Korean area where North and South, they're coming together. Trump is already out there saying that they're planning on their next summit with North Korea. Even though the fake news is out there saying, oh, there's a problem, and North Korea says we will never get rid of our nuclear weapons, that is all fake news. We see Israel decided to bomb Damascus. Now, their jets fired their missiles while they're in Lebanon territory. They didn't fly into Syria. And a lot of the air defense systems in Syria took out a lot of their missiles. Israel right now has not acknowledged the strike at all. But what would be the reason right now to go ahead and strike into Syria? The United States is removing the troops there. The United States will no longer work inside of Syria to push the deep state agenda. Israel right now knows they can't fly their jets into Syria because of the S-300 missile system. What they're doing is they're trying to get rid of any evidence that leads to Israel. What's ever left there, those are the targets they're going after. Remember, the Syrian forces have already found many weapons that were brought into Syria by Israel. Israel supported a lot of the terrorist groups. Same thing with Saudi Arabia, the deep state. They're all on the same page here. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to clean up the mess right now. They know time is running out. Now, Trump decided to withdraw the troops from Syria. Now, he didn't just decide one day and say, you know something, we're going to do this. He mentioned this months ago. And he's following through on what he promised. He knows, because of military intelligence, he knows exactly what is going on. Q has told us what has been going on. These wars in Syria were created out of thin air by the deep state. And of course, all these individuals on the news saying, well, if they leave, there's going to be a vacuum here. No. Before the deep state were in any of these countries, the people were living peacefully. The leaders there were leading their people. And there were no terrorists. There were no wars. The deep state started all of this under false pretenses. They tricked the American people. How'd they do this? They lied to them. Now, the base in Syria, Al-Tanf, the United States is going to remove the troops from there. And once this happens, the Syrian rebels in this base say that they're going to surrender to the Syrian forces. They're going to lay down their arms and they're done here. We know that Russia set up a base very, very close to the Al-Tanf base. Turkey right now is not going to invade Syria. Actually, they're already in Syria. They're going to clean up the rest of the mess. Remember, Russia, Putin, he is in full control with Assad of Syria. Turkey is not going to do anything to push Putin into doing something. Erdogan takes his orders from Putin. And what is going to happen here is they're going to clean up the rest of the mess. Russia is going to continually clean up the rest of the mess. The Syrian forces are already on their way to all these different areas, and they're going to control the rest of the country. Now, remember, who's still in the country? The coalition forces, UK, French troops, and others. Putin, Assad, Erdogan, they just can't stop because the coalition, the deep state, they're still in there. They're still trying to push their agenda. And the reason why Turkey, the reason why Russia are still there is to protect the rest of the nation and stop the deep state from whatever they're doing. And this is why all of this is happening right now. Remember, this war that was created in Syria, this was created from the deep state. There wasn't an uprising, a natural uprising of people. Same thing in Libya, Lebanon, Iraq. It was all created by the deep state. Actually, General Wesley Clark came out and told us that we were going to be invading all these countries, that we're going to have regime change before anything even happened. It was already planned by the deep state because these countries were selling oil not using the central bank dollar. And they knew if they if they continue to do this, their system would implode. So to control their system, this is not the people's system, this is the central bank system, they had to control what was going on in the Middle East because this was the deal that was made back in 1971. Now, Clapper is out there, and he's a CNN contributor. He's the former National Intelligence Director, and he's saying that there's going to be unintended consequences if Trump continues withdrawing the troops from Syria. Now, is he threatening the president that the deep state, they're going to do something if he continues with this? Maybe. Remember, if we go back to post 2638, Trump told us chemical attack in Syria, public pullout of troops in Syria, history will not repeat itself. Basically, Q is telling us, listen, these chemical attacks in Syria, they're false flags. They're created by the deep state to push their mission in Syria. They use these events to try to get everyone on board. Oh, Assad's using chemical weapons. We need to go after Assad. Q is saying, listen, they might try it once again or try to do something else, but history will not repeat itself this time. Nothing will happen there. Putin will call out the deep state. Let's move to post 2639 here. Remember from the Washington Post, this is Max Boot. And the first article, this is December 19th, Trump's surprise Syria pullout is a giant Christmas gift to our enemies. When previously, this is August 19th, Trump can't do anything right. We don't need troops in Syria. So, and of course, Q came out and says, why do people trust the fake news media? Annans can play this game all day long, compare and contrast, fake, fake, fake. When you hear Turkey is going to be invading, there's going to be an all-out war, and they're going to go after... No, that's not happening. First of all, Putin didn't bring in his troops to have Erdogan start an all-out war in Syria. Putin is not making economic deals and giving Assad currency to rebuild Syria. China is not coming in and helping Syria rebuild. So Erdogan can continue destroying Syria. That is not going to happen. Erdogan takes his orders from Putin. Erdogan is not going to be invading Syria. Actually, no one will be invading Syria. The country is locked down. What they're doing right now is they're cleaning up the rest of the deep state and forcing the rest of the coalition troops out of there. Macron and his troops, UK and their troops, and the rest. Remember, the deep state just doesn't give. They're going to continually fight until the very end because they want to reach their goal. But guess what? It's not going to work. If we go to post 2626, Q put up, the clock is ticking. When will the first alarm ring? If the Senate was the primary target, majority control, 53 to 47, active when? January 3rd. Executive order, when is that active? January 1st, 2019. Ongoing investigations, and then went into Sarah Carter, Sean Hannity about the dossier, Uranium One, the indictments. The clock is ticking down right now. The alarm bell is about to ring. Everything goes live at the beginning of this year. Going through January, other things become active. As we go throughout the year of 2019, other things will be activated. The indictments. Of course, January 3rd, we know the Senate is going to be sworn in. Of course, the House is going to be sworn in, but the Senate was the target. The Senate has control. The Senate has control over the investigations right now. Everything goes active, and we're going to hear the first alarm bell ring, most likely in the beginning of 2019. Are we going to hear it ring on January 1st or January 3rd? No. Most likely a couple weeks after that, maybe even a month, we will start to hear alarm bells go off. And then you'll see the deep state, they will go into full panic mode. Because what do we see coming here? Well, everything's been prepared. The placeholders. The indictments are ready. The investigations have been prepared. Everything has been planned out And there's plans to back up the plans just in case. We know the deep state, they're going to continually try to use their ammunition to stop and cover up what is going on here. Trump is going to continually call out the Fed. The attacks will not stop. You're going to see panic all over the place. You're going to see crazy news stories about Trump, the Patriots, and what's going on here. They're all fake to try to make everyone think something else is going on than what's really going on. Remember, most of this stuff that we're seeing is happening behind the scenes. There are no leaks. The investigations are moving forward. And everything is about to drop. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.